The unfair advantage. All right, we are back for episode 2. Kelvin Jonck, CEO of YOUKNOW Technologies. Thank you for having this unfair advantage podcast set up from a YOUKNOW perspective. How's it?
Good, Don Packett, COO of YOUKNOW Technologies. Excited that we could find time to record another one. We're on a roll.
Yes, yeah. Two is better than one. Let's hope anyway.
Hopefully some people are still left from the first one.
That'll be cool. Yeah. If you have joined us for the second episode, you're in for a treat, which means we didn't do too bad a job in episode 1. But we did promise, so let's get down to brass tacks, because we do have a 15-minute window of us to get our message across, maybe even less. Let's see.
People are busy.
Yeah, exactly. We said we are going to talk about product-led growth today. It is very, very important component of this leapfrog mindset, driving an unfair advantage. Product-led growth is huge. It's huge. And there are a number of different categories, I suppose, topics and elements that fit within product-led growth, right?
Yeah. I mean, I always like to talk about it as the tools in the toolkit. There are a set of, and they're growing, but there are a set of well-honed tactics, tools, strategies that people around the world have used and created over years. And it's not always been called product-led growth, been part of product-led growth, but product-led growth definitely incorporated a number of those. Loyalty programs are a big one. So if your business is kind of leaning towards that, kind of focusing hard on the loyalty part is a very strong one. The world of multi-channel messaging is growing rapidly, so being able to speak to people at the right time on the right channel that makes sense to them becomes vital. If you can personalize that in a way that makes it relevant, that becomes a huge component of PLG. Creating these personalized customer journeys for people to go down, and then optimizing that to lead them back to this moment of value that we keep talking about becomes vital. So part of the reason why not everybody just does it is you need to work out which of these tools make sense for you and how do you use it and how do you scale it in an automated way. And I think some of the examples that we've come up with when we started talking about it is with companies that have employed one or two or multiple of these tactics in a good or less good way.
Sure. And so, listen, some of them get it really right and some of them get them really wrong, and others, I suppose, try and just maybe don't have the right tools, I suppose, in their testing toolkit to understand when things are breaking, right? You had a recent example with a smoothie / delicious wraps company that you were tell me about you were testing them on their loyalty program, right?
So I am a big Kauai fan. Downstairs from our offices, we spend a lot of time and money in this establishment. My family orders from there almost every second night. Great company. And I decided that going through what we do on a daily basis, it'd be great to test out their app experience, the loyalty program that they've built on there as well. And I've gone through the entire kind of gambit. I've tested it from the beginning. I've got to the black tier, which is, the premium level. You maxed out. I've got as many points as I could possibly get.
What did you have to do? Just buy things?
So the process is as you're ordering, you open the app up, you scan your code, it gets added to the points that you've earned based on the value that you're spending. It's added to your level, and then or your points, and then that brings up this little circle that keeps increasing and changing colors as you get from tier to tier to tier. Very slick technology that makes it work. It's instantaneous. I immediately get to see that I'm moving up, and so that gamification nut in me goes, cool, I'll do anything for a badge. I'll do anything to get a little sparkle when my color changes from yellow to green, from green to black. But what I was speaking about at the MMA dinner the other day was I've received little bits of value intrinsically, but the output, the promise that was given to me of I would get these many things by going through that bit of effort of engaging and scanning, I personally did not receive. That is not Kauai's fault. Maybe a little bit, but there's always room for opportunity. It's my fault. I didn't pay attention. I didn't look at my app every day. I didn't try and see when my vouchers were available. But if I look now at my maxed out black tier, I have nothing. There are no vouchers available.
As the top dog, there's
top dog. I mean, there's gambling programs that send you little crowns if you lose enough money with them. So you'd expect something to hang your hat on and say, well, I have done my part. What do I get out of that? So the opportunity, I think, and we've seen this in many loyalty programs, the value that a customer gets is when they actually redeem what they've earned. It's not earning, it's actually the redemption. And so I think the opportunity was to drive redemption home with me in a much stronger way. Make sure that I did not miss those freebies that I were given. Phone me up if it needed to be. Have somebody standing at the door waiting for me to walk in. I don't know, whatever it is. But in my personal case, I've maxed that out. I didn't take advantage of any of that, and so I'll probably stop scanning from now on. My experiment's done. I don't see the value. I'll probably stop scanning, and it's a common story, I think, that companies in that space might do is by building it. There shouldn't be an endpoint, definitely, but there should definitely be a stronger drive towards reminding me what I signed up for and reminding me of when I get that value again and again.
Yeah. And now even something as simple as just scanning, right? So I love that. So on the flip side, for me, I was thinking about, I've been a Clicks Club Card or whatever it's called. I don't even know what the whole scheme is. I think it's Club Card. I've been, actually, Lauren, my wife, has been a member, and I just use her card details on my phone on an app. And every time I'll go to Clicks, I'll just scan the thing just because, do you have a Clicks Club Card? Yes, cool, and scan. No special little feeling of joy every time I scan it. There's no intrinsic, let me see the green to the orange to the red, blah, 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 nothing of the sort. But what happened the other day, though, because I was just like, I'm just going to do this because it exists. I was buying some things, and then the person at the counter says, the first time this has ever happened to me, is you've got X number, I don't know, a couple $100 in your account, whatever that account is called. Do you want to use it? And I was like, sure, why not? I mean, I have no idea if Lauren was maybe saving for something that I've just removed. However, I used this stuff, and at that point, I was like, this is awesome, right? This was this little aha value moment for me, that I felt nothing. I have zero connection with Clicks whatsoever, except now I feel like, okay, there's an opportunity, and possibly could have happened with Lauren in the last few years. Do you want to use this stuff? For sure. But it was very interesting that zero loyalty whatsoever, except we're still part of it, and they made it so easy for me to then make use of what I've earned, what we've earned. And now I feel a bit, okay, if I'm going to choose between one place or another, I'm probably not going to go to Clicks because I've got that little thing.
Right. Yeah, you'd rather go there than one of the competitors because you have a slightly stronger connection. Absolutely, that makes sense.
Yeah. So there's loyalty is just one portion, of course, of product-led growth. Onboarding is another point, and we can have a lot of conversations about great onboarding platforms and onboarding platforms who platforms who onboard terribly. But from a customer journey perspective, I heard you sharing the story the other day about your Duolingo experience.
Yeah, so let me get to that in a second. The interesting thing about onboarding onto a product, we're going to keep talking about it again and again. You want to get your customer to that moment of value as often as possible. That's what product-led growth boils down to. The onboarding process is, how can I get my customer to their first moment of value, their
Yeah.
first aha moment, as quickly as possible. Because once they're there, their percentages of them sticking around and their retention rate goes through the roof. And so slick, easy, smart, funny, entertaining onboarding journeys become a very vital component, because it's that first customer journey and that is first exposure to your product. So that's it becomes a very vital one, not to be overlooked.
No. You can't assume because someone's downloaded your app or bought this product that they're just going to love it from the get-go, and just use it as is. You're right. Yeah.
So the Duolingo story was quite a good one. I've been using Duolingo with my family, or with my daughter. She wanted to learn French. She was going to France, and it was a way for us both to learn at the same time. Duolingo famously have done incredible work in the industry, and they've done incredible work from a product-led growth perspective. There's a handbook that I'm busy working through with the team at the moment, which outlines a lot of their core principles. But one of those is understanding me, listening to me through the breadcrumbs that I leave in my engagement with them, and then knowing the triggers that are important to get me back in, because they know that people who engage with them more often, people who finish X amount of courses within a certain period of time, have a X% more likelihood of sticking around and renewing their license or not canceling their license along the way. So their job is, imagine their job is have me do one course per day, 4 days in a row, right? And if I don't do that, if I drop off after day 3, my churn rate increases dramatically. They know this from analytics, from product analytics, from understanding their customers. So they go through any amount of effort to get me back in. And I had ignored Duolingo for a couple of months. My experience was done for them. I didn't feel like it anymore. I accidentally opened the app on a Friday evening, and almost immediately they came back with this push notification that says, "Seriously, Kelvin, you came back just to ghost me again? Do a French lesson now." For those who are listening in and they can't see my screen, this is what's showed up on the screen. This was, 8:30 in the evening or 8 o'clock in the evening. Now, again, purposefully I didn't, because I knew this was an opportunity to see what their process is. The next day, round about the same time. Why? Because they now know when I'm most likely active, because I showed them some activity levels. They know my name. They know that I was doing French. They use all of this information to personalize their messaging to me, along with timing. But now they're going to start testing out different approaches. So the first one was, made me feel a little bad. I don't want to ghost Kauai. But the next one was with a little broken heart emoji. "Hi, it's Duo. Every time you skip a French lesson, you break a piece of my heart." Oh, shame. So now they're playing on my emotional heartstrings, try and get me back in. Similar time of day. The next day, also similar time of day, probably about 7:30 at night. It says, "You're scaring me. I'm afraid of people who skip their lessons. Do one now." Okay, so now they're playing on maybe the fear element of things. Another one, 7:15 at night. "What's wrong, babe? You haven't done French in 4 days. Can we fix this?" So now they're imploring, speaking to my charity, I suppose they want to see what can they do, offer me help. Then 5 days later, they realize none of this stuff works. Maybe this guy reacts well to a timed countdown of some kind, and it says 37 minutes, 29 seconds left. Claim a bonus chest with a quick lesson. So now they're speaking to my gamification brain, and I think it was at this point that I clicked, sure, I'll do anything for a badge or a chest or anything like that. And that worked. So I didn't stay on for long, but that's more me than them. They did the hard grind to get me back in, and more likely that I would then engage with them, maybe start a new streak, do these kinds of things, and stay with them for longer. So it's a fantastic example of personalized customer engagement to bring me back to the fold.
Love that. to close off, I suppose there'll be a lot of companies listening or agencies listening, working for companies say, yeah, we're not Duolingo. We can't say, what's wrong, babe? Hey, boo. But there are definitely ulterior opportunities to be able to drive this kind of narrative. You just look at like surreal cereals in terms of their marketing and the kinds of things that they're doing. It's just completely left field from a marketing perspective for a cereal brand, right?
Yeah.
And every engagement, whether it's marketing, any internal communications, omni-channel comms, is an opportunity to change the game, right? And it's continuing. We'll go back to the original episode, that leapfrog mindset. How do we think differently about getting ahead of everybody else?
And it also speaks to this idea that I've been driving for many years, even since my corporate days, was just use a little bit more data. If you're listening and paying attention to what the customer is telling you or sharing with you, or leaving hints to, just use one or two more extra little data points and weave that into your strategy for the week, or to your testing plan or your experimentation plan for the week. Instead of trying to like boil the ocean and let's get our full data ocean working, just focus on the small things, and that will already give you a head up, leg up.
Yep. Started listening. Super. Kelvin Jonck, episode 2. Look at us on a roll, man.
Okay. Should we just start number 3?
No, I need to prep. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Episode 3. I don't know what you're talking about yet for episode 3 or who's going to be joining us, but it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, let's get a guest on.
Beautiful. Nice. Thanks, dude. The unfair advantage.